once again with Christian Miller taking up that.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with New York Giants legend and South Carolina Hall of Famer Corey Miller and his son, 4-time SEC champion and 2-time national champion Christian Miller.
And knocked down again. It was Christian Miller.
Here is college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome into this Wednesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope everybody is doing great and hope you guys are having a great start to your day and hope you guys are ready to dive into some football talk today. As you guys can see, well, if you guys are joining us on the YouTube stream, again, we are live on our YouTube channel every day, Monday through Friday, 11 to 1 at the Miller's Edge. Thumbnail states, right? We'll start talking a little bit about Wisconsin. I know we've been looking back, right, breaking things down from last weekend. Now it's time to turn the page, take a little bit of a look at our opponents for this weekend. So we will dive into that here on the show. Probably will hear from their head coach, Luke Fickell, who did break down this matchup. So maybe just play that part of the clip, right, just a couple minutes long. And we'll definitely go back and listen to some of the clips we haven't got to play because we've been number one, me and my dad have been talking a whole bunch, obviously. But two, we've been talking with you guys on the phone lines, 205-342-9904. Is the number, which is good. We always enjoy that. But obviously there's some things we got to go back and hit. And so we will plan on doing that. So that's kind of what I got planned for today. Talk a little Wisconsin, talk a little bit with you guys, again, moving forward. And really, there's a couple of things we still never even got to, Chase. I just thought about it. Never really got into really like the whole pass rush conversation. Again, to me, that's a big topic to discuss, right? Especially coming out of this past weekend, right? It seemed like everything else gets a check, but that's still the one thing that's still kind of lingering. There's still a couple of things that probably, could be cleaned up a little bit, but definitely want to get into that conversation as well. So I'll plan on doing that. I had the clip pulled up of Kane Womack talking about it. We were going to listen to it yesterday, but we are joined by former Alabama wide receiver Slade Bolden. So we got a lot of good conversation from him yesterday, and we actually ended up hanging out past the time of the radio show. And I got to ask Slade a couple of things. I'm going to actually go back and play that because we didn't get to play it live on air. And I think, only half the people probably were still in the room. But I got to actually talk to him about Ryan Williams, right? Something that a lot of people have been asking me and a lot of other people, right? The move to slot receiver, right? And Slade had some interesting comments on it. If you follow us on our social media platforms, I made a cut up of kind of a summary of what he said. But what I'll do is I'll probably go back and play that full answer because I think that is an interesting conversation. Right. Remember, week one, we saw Ryan Williams line up at the slot. We heard about it throughout training camp. I had seen it, right, up in the scrimmages and the practices. But week one wasn't the best showing of the new look, right, with, running Ryan out of the slot. So obviously that leads to a lot of questions. Well, this guy had a, phenomenal, at least first half of his rookie freshman, right? We're in college. Sometimes it feels like pros, right? But on the outside, so why would they make the move? Well, I asked Slade, again, former Alabama wide receiver, played the position, right? He could explain it even better, and he had a very interesting answer. So we'll definitely dive into that, at least conversation briefly, if you guys were curious. I know we had a number of people asking that question. We finally got a receiver to give a pretty good answer on that. So definitely want to talk about that as well. But that's really what's on the plate, man. Take a look at Wisconsin, talk about some of these topics that I feel like are important with us moving forward, because at the end of the day, what's most important is what we do. At least that's what we used to always say. It's not about other teams. It's about what we do. And we'll talk about that. We'll self-assess a little bit on this Wednesday. Again, urge you guys, hop on the phone lines. Again, I know we've been having a couple people stranded, right, on the phone lines here and there. I promise we try to get to as many people as possible. We've been loaded. I always encourage you guys, right, dial us up early. That way you can ensure your spot, 205-342-9904. And I promise I'll do a better job of trying to make the calls a little bit quicker. That way we can, run through them a little bit quicker, but definitely do that. And another thing, guys, for you guys that have been leaving at messages, I'll be completely honest with you. I'm totally sorry if we haven't been reading them. I had no clue we were getting them. I just assumed we weren't getting them because I wasn't made aware of it. But I realized on my email, and I know I've mentioned this before, and you're like, dude, you said it. Look, it's on a different email or something like that, or it's like I don't know what folder it's in, but I always randomly come across it like every 2 days or something. That being said, not 2 days, like 2 weeks. That being said, I realize we have been getting at messages from the app. I did not know. And now that I know, I just need to just check my email. Don't stop leaving the at messages. I'm sorry if you guys have been leaving them and you're like, man, what the hell? He hadn't answered the at message in weeks. I wasn't aware, right? So now what I'll do is, and that's what it is, I just pulled it up. They're in a junk folder here. So I will make sure I just check that junk folder every day. Or if you guys have any advice on how to get that out of the junk folder, I'm sure there's something I can do. I'll figure that out on my end. But just know we were not neglecting the at messages intentionally. I promise it was an accident. So we got that cleaned up. But per usual, right, if you guys are tuning in via the streams, whether it's YouTube or Facebook, drop your questions right here, and we'll be glad to discuss it and answer them throughout the show. So we'll definitely plan on doing that as well. Big that I'm missing right now, but I can't think of it. I know yesterday we did get into some football talk. Shout out to Daryl again. If you guys have any questions, I promise I'm always happy to answer those questions. So don't embarrass if you have a football question. If you don't understand something, I promise we enjoy doing that, teaching that aspect of it. So I definitely would like to keep answering those. I know Daryl had a number of questions, and it's all right. No big deal. We'll keep working. I know he said he still was having a hard time grasping it. That's all right. We got plenty of time. We got all football season and off season to keep teaching you guys and coach you guys up. So we'll plan on doing just that. All right. That being said, let's go ahead and hit this first time out. We come back, we get rolling. Let me think, Chase. I think let's start with I really want to go back to what Slade had to say about Ryan Williams playing at the slot. I want to start there because it's just real quick. And I know a number of people have been asking that question. So let's go ahead and get that out the way. We'll bring that up. We'll talk about that. And then as we move along, we'll start talking a little bit about Wisconsin personnel, kind of what to expect in this matchup. I know Robbie Glenn called yesterday and was asking about them as a football team. You know, again, really good head coach and Luke Fickell. They've got some questions of their own, right? Struggled in that Middle Tennessee game in that first half. Second half, pulled it together, looked better. But, again, can't sleep on anybody these days, man. So we'll talk a little bit about this matchup. Again, it's an early one. So make sure you guys have your coffee ready. 11 o'clock kick here in Tuscaloosa. So we'll dive into all that coming up right here on the Miller's Edge, Title 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. Quick timeout. We'll be right back.
At Tuscaloosa,
What's up, everybody? Ryan, what's up? Mike, what's going on? MC, what's up? Carlos, Shikenji, Compax, que lo que? Espero que esté bien. Dwight, what's up? QD. Another Mike, what's up? Crystal, how are you? Carson, yes, sir, we're back. LK, what's up? Latoya, how are you? Good morning. Bama Ball, what's up? Randall, what's going on? If you guys haven't, man, smash that like button. You guys know the drill. I'm sorry if that gets repetitive, man. I got to remind myself to remind you guys. That always helps the channel out. And it's easy. It keeps everything simple around here. MC, yeah, the phone line's open, but just a heads up, I'm going to play this Slade clip. And I know I always do this. I'm like, yeah, the phone line's open. Then oh, God, Jesus, let me slow down. We start talking about something, and then it pushes it a little bit. But I'm going to play this Slade clip. I think his full answer was like 3 minutes. So the clip will be like 3 minutes. We'll talk about it for a second. But if you want to go ahead and jump on there, I promise I'll get to you as soon as possible. I just want to at least get that through. Because it is a big talking point, especially with I'm assuming he'll probably be back this week. And a lot of you guys have been asking that question. I gave you guys my answer, but when we had Slade on here, who, again, shout out to Slade. Check him out. He's been doing his new segment called Slade Segments on his Instagram. You can catch that on his Instagram and TikTok, where he's breaking the games down. And plus, he's pretty much joining us here pretty frequently now, which is great. Excuse me. So we got that question. Matter of fact, let me pull it up right now. Or let me do this. That way you guys got something to watch. So you just got to stare at me. And I will pull this up from Slade yesterday. Let's see. There's so many things we're going to hit that we never. Yeah, MC, just call, if you call in like 5-10 minutes, whatever, should be good. Keep Ryan in the slot, but he's got to move around. Yeah, let me, before I get distracted, let me pull this up. All right, here we go. I got it. Bet. Wow, this is going to be weird. Watching myself from yesterday. Let's see. In the meantime, let me answer some of you guys' questions here. Compacts. Curious why we have a problem getting to the quarterback. I mean, I'll say this: last game we did a better job getting back there, getting some more pressure. Obviously, we were definitely more disruptive, right? I think like 12 tackles for losses. I mean, James Smith really was playing with his hair on fire, right? You know, that type of performance is kind of what we were hoping to get out of him this season, right? However, the thing is, right, we're playing ULM. So, I mean, you already know those numbers are going to be inflated, right? We got to see that against quality opponents, right? Wisconsin will be a step up. I mean, I still don't think they're a great team, right? At least through 2 games, they haven't really blown me away. But obviously, the competition will be a little bit better than ULM. But in terms of your question, why are we struggling? I think it really just boils down to kind of what me and my dad have been talking about, man. I just don't think we have, true like quick twitch threats off the edge, right? And it don't even have to be quick twitch. I mean, even if it's like a true speed to power guy that just can really be effective, right? I mean, we throw around quick twitch because obviously, like, if you have a defense, right? I mean, you want to have you want to have different type of personnel, right? And the personnel I'm talking about right now are the players. I just feel like we don't really have like a true edge threat that's like, all right, man, we can put this guy out there on third down, and like we're hoping to get him some one-on-one so he can go, win those matchups, right? Get some, pressure on the quarterback. Just think about like, Will Anderson, Dallas Turner. I mean, Chris Braswell. I mean, guys that you just knew, right? Third down is coming. One of those guys getting to the quarterback, right? Ryan Anderson, Tim Williams, right? You knew Tim is going to be in the backfield, right? Whether he's making a sack, whether he's getting a hit, a pressure. Tim, you put Tim on the edge, like Tim's going to work. Ryan's going to work, right? Obviously, I'd love to throw myself in here because I can pull the numbers. I had like the 5th highest win rate in the country my senior year, but I don't want to be that guy. But you get what I'm saying. T. Lou, right? I just don't. I don't see anybody that just like is really that type of threat. I mean, I think there's guys with potential. Like I think Yanze can come along and get better and better, and but I just don't know if we have those guys right now. And welcome back into this Wednesday edition of the Miller's Edge, tied 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport experts. Again, check them out right now if you're dealing with any type of pain, foot pain, knee pain, back pain, hip pain. You name it, doesn't matter. They will take care of it. And how do they do that? Well, these premium art sports that are designed to eliminate and alleviate all types of pain for short weeks. That's clinically proven. Just throw them in your shoes, boots, whatever it is that you wear on your feet, and they get to work. So make sure you check them out. Midtown Village here in Tuscaloosa. Run on over to the Good Feet Store. I'm telling you guys, man, they got the whole thing for you, the presentation. They got the foot massagers in the meantime. They got a whole shoe wall. You can pair shoes up. Great customer service, man. Just go check them out if you haven't already. They will, I promise you, you'll be glad you went on over there. It's try before you buy, nothing to lose, right? And you can always go to their website, schedule an appointment, or find out more information, or find the nearest location to you because they're nationwide. Again, that is the Good Feet Store. Our proud presenting sponsor here on the show. And not only that, just great folks. I mean, I've worked with them and been wearing them for years now, right? And they have been phenomenal, right? So, again, we're very thankful for the Good Feet Store. not just for our relationship here, but also for the product, man, because they are game changers. So check those out. Again, that is the Good Feet store. We got some really good questions in here, and we're going to dive into all this because a lot of this was what we wanted to get into, but kind of had some side quests going on the past couple of days, which is always fun, right? Especially my dad's on here. We always get pulled left and right, and sometimes we go a little off track, but it's hilarious. That being said, I want to dive into this first question about Ryan Williams at the slot. We've been getting this question for about a week now. I try to answer it for you guys, right? And then I asked Slade yesterday after the show, right? We had some overtime on the I guess the podcast after the show, and so I want to start here, but I will promise I will go back to what you guys have about the pass rush, because that's another big one that we were supposed to talk about yesterday, but we didn't get to. So hit that next. But first, let's hit this. Ryan Williams, star wide receivers, freshman year, at least the first half, right? Second half kind of fell into a little bit of a slump, right? A little bit of a change here going into week one. He's playing the slot. We know how that performance went, right? Had some drops, took some hard hits, ended up getting knocked out with a concussion. A lot of people wondering, why do we move him? What's the point of him playing there? What are the benefits, right? Is it going to work? Well, we asked a former receiver, right, who pretty much has played. He's played in the slot. He's played on the outside. He knows all that stuff. And so this is what Slade Bolden, former Alabama receiver, had to say about Ryan Williams moving to the slot. This is a question I wanted to ask you too. We could probably clip this too if you want to post it, because a lot of people have been wondering this, and people have been asking me this, but I think you're more fit to answer it.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on Ryan Williams moving to slot right now? Obviously, I know it's still new. We've only seen, one game of that, but last year primarily played on the outside. You're a former receiver, but you know how all that works a lot better than I could even explain it. But how do you feel about him moving on the inside? I know some people wonder, is he fit to be on the inside? Can he do it? Is he better at one spot or the other? Just what are your thoughts? It didn't have to be some perfect answer. I'm genuinely curious.
Yeah.
I know the chat was wondering.
No, I mean, it's a great question to ask because, stereotypically for years, the slot guy was shorter, stouter, quicker, could take hits going across the middle. Now it's changed. The receiver position keeps changing. Now you got guys that are 6'4", 6'5", that can, run 4.4s but play the slot, and it's like having almost like a bigger body / tight end. And then
wow, I forgot we're getting hit with our own ads, man. I always complain about others doing this. Dang. Self-inflicted, man. Here we go.
Like Tyreek Hill mainly play outside, that are not necessarily the biggest physical guys, but just got speed, can take you over the top. So I think from what I believe, that perspective, having Ryan in the slot to me is smart because you can move that guy. The route tree expands. Sometimes in certain schemes, an outside receiver is locked, right? And because they're trying to find ways to get Ryan Williams the ball. Granted, I think that's very smart. I think as often as early as you can get him, because I think he becomes more dangerous. Yes, I do believe he has great ball skills. His awareness on the field is something that I've never seen at that age last year. Look, yeah, he dropped some balls, he struggled. It happens. Look, I love to see how he's going to respond, but he seems like just such a confident player in my mind that it's not going to affect him. But I think moving him to the slot is very beneficial because we can motion him, we can get him in sweeps, we can get him in pitches, we can, he can run read routes, whether seam read, choice route, sail routes, all these different. The route tree to me expands. And then, we can do switch releases and stack and bunch and get him outside. I personally think keeping him out of the middle of the field is smart, keep him healthy. But a lot of slot guys take, quick screens or tunnel screens. So, just trying to find ways to get the ball in his hands. I'm pretty positive that's why they're moving him into the slot, which I'm all for. I think that you want your best player to have as many opportunities to get the ball in his hands. So to me, having him in the slot is exactly why or that's why they're doing that. So I like it. I mean, mix it up. Whatever. I like
that makes
Jeremy Bernard in
perfect
the
sense.
slot too. I mean, I
Yeah.
think he's a great route runner and makes some physical catches. So, they're probably playing around with it.
Yeah. So there you go. So that was Slade's answer to the famous question that a lot of people have been wondering recently, right? Why is Ryan in the slot, and does it work? But you heard him explain it. I mean, just like football in general, there's been an evolution to the game, and it's always evolving, right? And that's what I was explaining. I think one time somebody asked about, they're saying, "Oh, I think Horton's a better fit for the slot," and I was like scratching my head because I'm like, it's just so crazy that you guys would think, or not you guys, or somebody would think that, because I'm like, this guy's like 6'4", a bigger receiver. Like typically that's an outside guy. Like for all my time, that's always been an outside guy. But you're right. Nowadays, like Slade even explained, you do see some bigger guys occasionally play the slot because it's almost having almost like an athletic type tight end in terms of matchups and whatnot. And at the end of the day, football is a game of matchups, putting your players in position to make plays. That being said, that makes perfect sense why they experimented with Ryan at the slot. I think it does work. I think it might just take some time, but like Slade also said, I mean, slot guys are expected to, take, some, go across the middle, right? And we know what can happen. We saw Ryan take a hard hit there. I don't know if he stays there. I don't know. He's not going to stay there full time. At the end of the day, you can always move guys around. You even heard Slade said he thinks Jeremy would make a great slot. And I think that's what they're going to continue to do. And then you talk about, Brooks coming along, showing what he can do. I think they just keep mixing and matching guys around. And I think ultimately, whatever they feel like gives them that best, I guess, matchup or that best combination of guys, they'll continue to work with. But for all you folks that were asking that question, I thought Slade explained it extremely well. And even like the dynamic of the two. And we went on and talk even more so about some of the different routes and things at the end. So if you guys want to go back and watch it again, there's like extra like 25, 30 minutes from yesterday's episode after we went off air. Me and Slade just kind of talking a little bit more about that stuff. So you guys can go and check that out. But I thought it was a good time to ask him because I hated that we went off air, but I was like, damn, somebody even asked in the chat, but we had to leave, right? So there's that. So if you guys have any response, I'm curious what you guys think. I know a lot of people, we posted the clip of him saying that, and they're still like, well, look at week one and look at Brooks. And I'm like, right. And Slade acknowledges that stuff, and he saw that too. He's just saying the why they initially probably would do that and why it does make sense, right? Just getting him more opportunities to get the football. But again, I guess you do have to continue to see how he does respond because week one didn't look the most comfortable doing it. However, it could have been a number of things. He might have just had an off week, right? Because again, I saw him over the course of training camp line up in the slot, and he made plays. He looked comfortable. It worked fine, right? And the last thing I'll say before we go to break, if he wasn't comfortable or confident doing that in practice, coaches wouldn't have never put him in that spot in the game. So just remember that. So like he can do it. Maybe don't jump to conclusion just yet because it was one performance, 1 week. We'll kind of see how it goes, and we'll see kind of the game plan moving forward. But the good news is you know what he can do on the outside. You now know you got a young guy that's capable of doing stuff on the inside. It's not like you have to have him there. And I'm sure, like Slade even said, Bernard could probably do it just fine. I think Bernard might almost be, if you think about it, like Slade talked about, having to go across the middle and take some of those contested or take on some of those hits. Bernard's solid. I mean, Bernard is not small. Maybe that might be the move, right? Put Ryan back outside, move Jeremy inside, and see how that goes. That might be it. We'll see. But I just wanted to pull that up because that was a very common question. All right, we got to hit a timeout. We come back. We got MC on the phone lines. We go to him. Plus, we got to talk some pass rush. We got to find a cure, guys. We got to find a cure for this pass rush dilemma that we got on our hands. We'll talk about that and more here from head coach Luke Fickell of Wisconsin in a little bit. Talk about Alabama. All that coming up right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
Tuscaloosa Oktoberfest, presented by UA Online, has a new home, Government Plaza. Join us Saturday.
All right, let's see. Carlos says, I have one. Do you think we disguise coverage enough? Seems to me we show our hand pre-snap. I know they try to get it get in disguises and whatnot, but I mean, like, do we do it enough? I mean, I know they do show disguise. Like, I'm thinking off the top of my head. I know sometimes they'll show like split safety, knowing they're getting down a single high, do it last sec. I mean, I see a lot of that. I don't necessarily see a whole bunch of like everybody moving all around. Like, sometimes if you watch some of these like NFL defense, I mean, like, you see like a whole secondary moving and run. Like, I don't know if we do anything too complicated. I'm sure maybe there might be some calls where we do a little bit more, but that's a good question. I mean, do we do it enough? I'll be honest, I have to probably go back and really watch every single detail pre-snap to give you a better answer on that. I mean, I know we do disguise, but is it enough? I mean, it just depends. I mean, I know, like, for us, like when I was playing here, you know, our thing is that we try to disguise from the top down to the, you know, even the defensive line. We always had stem calls. We always were trying to move. Just because you want to make it as difficult for because look, at the end of the day, the offense knows what they're doing, right? The offense has the play call. Like, defense is always at a disadvantage. You have to react. Those guys know what the call is, where they're going, what they're assigned. You know what I mean? Like, we have to literally rely on what we're seeing and what we're getting. So defense is always going to be a challenge. So I guess like the reverse card in that is disguising and showing different things. That way you make it more confusing for a quarterback. So that's a good question, because that really is important, especially as you move on up, right? You know, in high school, it's one thing. College is definitely something. Then in the NFL, you see, I mean, all the time. I mean, like, you see corners showing press, you see corners showing off, coming up quick. You see safeties, right? First is split safety, and you see the safety rotate down the last second, getting the single high. Because in the NFL, I mean, the quarterbacks are so good, you have to do that. If not, they'll just pick you apart, because that's pre-snap. That's what these guys are looking at. These guys are trying to figure out what the show. That's why they have all the, you know, the fake claps, right? They want to see what the defense is in. But in terms of if we do it enough or not, well, hell, matter of fact, I got this ULM game on. I guess I could try to. Where's that remote? Of course, I don't have the remote. I was about to say, I guess I could run it back real quick and throw on a couple of snaps on defense. I know last year, to give you a quick little last part of that answer, last year I don't think we did a lot or enough. But I'll be honest with you, for the first two games, I hadn't really paid too much attention to that, other than like when it was like completely noticeable. But I'll go back and look. And welcome back into this edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts. All right, before we go to the phone lines, got to remind you about our friends over at R&R Cigars. R&R Cigars is the place to be for all your cigar needs, whether you're watching a game, hanging out, fellowshipping, enjoying a nice bourbon, one of 160 that they have right there for you. You got to check them out. It's the big mansion on the corner, 2703 Gary Fitz Street. You can't miss it, right? Go there, hang out. Again, best humidor in the Southeast. They've got cigars galore, and it's just a nice place, nice ambiance. I mean, it's the total package. So make sure you guys check them out. Plus, you can always go to their website and take advantage of the deals that they have for you using the code Miller's Edge, 20% off your orders. Make sure you guys use that, right? Whether you're getting a gift, getting cigars for yourself, don't miss out on that. Again, Miller's Edge. Use that code and get 20% off right there on the website, rnrcigars.com. Again, that is R&R Cigars, the official cigar provider of Alabama football since 2014. All right, let's go to the phone lines real quick before we jump back into some of these other questions and topics. 205-342-9904. We got MC up first. MC, welcome in.
Hey, what's going on, Christian? How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm good, man. Thanks for taking the call.
Absolutely, man. What's up?
So I found it kind of funny. I laughed here because I was listening to you while I was cooking myself breakfast after working out this morning. And you said somebody said to put Fortin into the slot. That was me. I called in and said that a while back.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my thing, man. I still feel like Williams should be on the outside. If Alabama, if Coach Grubb and then wants to put a more traditional player in the slot, then put Brooks in the slot. Brooks can definitely create a mismatch. He's still fast. He's still squirrely. He's quick. He's got a great catch radius. So put put Brooks into the slot and then have Williams and Bernard as your outside guys. Because I still feel like Williams is a burner. I don't feel like he's comfortable in the slot. I feel like he wants to get in the outside and burn. So let your burner burn. You know what I mean? I also think that I still think Bernard or Horton would be good in the slot as well because he's a big body receiver. Even if you get a linebacker on him, he's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster in most cases. Maybe not stronger, but he probably is better at his craft than the linebacker will be. He's probably better at burning that linebacker than the linebacker is at trying to cover him. So I'd say put Zay out there. Let Isaiah Horton get into the slot as well. One thing I wanted to say, man, you're probably going to touch on it, is I'm still not sold that Alabama has an effective pass rush. I'm still not sold on that. I think Alabama has a lot to prove, and they got a long way to go. And I just haven't seen it. There was another podcast that I listened to, and everybody was super happy about the record and Ty being 17 of 17, and I was a huge fan of it. And people were using the word impressive, and I just said I'm impressed by what they did, but I'm not impressed against who you did it against. Do that against a Power 4 opponent, and then I'll say, yeah, that was super impressive by Alabama. And then my worries are kind of put to bed. But you did that against ULM. You're supposed to go dog walk ULM 73-0. You're supposed to. And even still, Bama only has one sack through 2 games. So I don't know. Am I being a little too hard on this team, or do you think that the way I'm starting to think and feel is a little justified?
No, I don't think you're being too harsh. I think you're just pointing out, obvious, not necessarily concerns, but question marks, whatever term you want to use. I don't think there's a problem with that, right? At the end of the day, like, and me and my dad said this, like, both things can be true, because I agree with you, right? We did it against ULM. That's not enough to completely move the needle to the point where I'm like, all right, we're completely back on track and everything's all fixed up. No. Like you said, you're supposed to go do that. We did what we were supposed to. However, you do have to tip your hat to them and do acknowledge the fact that, going 17 of 17, no matter who you're playing. I mean, that's perfect execution. Just like I think Robbie said, like, go throw the football, in practice, right? Just with routes on air. You don't always complete every pass doing just that. So doing it in a game is still impressive. So things like that, you know what I mean? Like, you definitely acknowledge. Obviously, we acknowledge the most important, at least for me, right? The effort, the attitude, the toughness, right? Playing the whole game, everybody playing to that level of intensity. Like, all those things, again, want to credit these guys, congratulate them, right? Like, that's cool. But I do think it's important, right? At least for us on this show, because you guys know how we rock, right? Like, we're not just going to just say what you guys want to hear. I know, like a lot of other people that cover Bama, they try to spin everything to be perfect and positive because that's what people want to hear. However, our job, we just try to analyze it for what we see. Now, obviously, I try to do it and be respectful and not be harsh, but at the same time, I have to point out things that I feel like are question marks or things that need to be better, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to show up. And obviously I want to be credible. So yes, I agree with you. I think pass rush to me, and I mentioned that when I gave my breakdown from the game, is probably the one thing that's still just, when I say glaring, I don't want to make it seem like it's like, oh man, like the worst issue ever, but it's an issue. The fact that you only have one sack in 2 games. Now I will say, yes, when you're playing a team that's, trying to get the ball out quick, like that can have an effect on that, things like that. Florida State really was, trying to get to their running game. But at the same time, though, it's not even so much just like that number. It's more so when you watch the tape, because just like Slade was saying, he might have said it after the show, but he doesn't just look at numbers for you know what I mean, like to break things down. He really doesn't care about numbers. He looks at the tape, and that's what I do. Numbers tell a part of the story, but the tape tells the rest of it, if not all of it. And when you watch the tape, there's just not really anybody that's just like jumping off the tape that's like, man, he just had a good rep there. Even if he didn't get a sack, I can go turn on plenty of NFL tape of guys having great pass rush moves and great success. They didn't get a sack necessarily. It's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but I'm like, oh man, that guy's flashing right now. I just don't really see anybody on our defensive line that really through 2 games has made me go, man, like we're going to need him down the stretch. I mean, that dude's making it. I don't really see that. Like Quay Russaw, I think like he can be effective, but like to me, what I see, honestly, when I watch a lot of our edge guys, I see a lot of just speed to power. And it's not like a speed to power like Will Anderson had, where he literally is bowling guys back there and he's having success. Obviously, we know his production. It's more so like guys are kind of just trying to push the pocket, and that's it. And that just drives me nuts because, man, like when you're rushing off the edge, man, you got to work, right? Like pass rush is like almost like a game of chess with the other man, right? It's all about beating the hands, beating them to the spot, countering, you know what I mean? Like having a sense of the quarterback where he's at, stepping. Like I just don't think I really sense that from our guys. It's almost just like, just trying to do what they did in high school, just overpower guys. And to me, I'm like, I don't see guys working, freebird techniques. I don't see guys working the stab club. I don't see guys trying to get into it, even like a ghost technique, cross. I don't really see guys working a whole bunch of moves. I don't understand. Like, is that they being told, just collapse the pocket? Are they like, what is it that's hindering them from really just letting it loose? And so I don't know. Then even on the interior, like I would expect James Smith to be that guy for the interior in terms of getting after the quarterback. LT Overton, obviously, when you rush from a 3, sometimes a 5, but it's still yet to be seen for me. And I think it's actually good that you harp on that, because at the end of the day, that's going to come up, right? My dad mentioned this yesterday, and it's totally true. It's not going to matter versus ULM. Might not matter versus Wisconsin. They like to run the football a lot. But best believe when you go play a team like LSU that's going to want to throw the ball 30-something plus times with their quarterback, when you go play some of these other teams that, are pass-happy offenses, right, and you have to get pressure on the quarterback and you're in somewhat of a shootout, you got to find a way to affect the quarterback. And so, look, if they're not going to be able to get it out of guys winning one-on-ones, traditional four-down stuff, Kane's going to have to start dialing up more pressure and finding ways to, bring, whether it's an extra back or whether it's bringing a safety, whatever he has to do to dial up that pressure and get, and to affect the quarterback, because it's going to come up at some point. It might not so much in 2 games. It definitely did, I guess, in week 1, but down the road, best believe that will be something that comes into play.
I agree, man. There's 2 little things I want to say real quick before I get out of here, because I don't want to monopolize the phone line.
Yeah, no, you're
One,
good, bro.
you said you don't want to be that guy. Absolutely be that guy, man. I'll be that guy for you. Your third down pass rush was incredibly effective. Are you kidding me? If we had somebody playing like you, then our pass rush would be way better, man. Your third down pass rush was one of the best in the country. I was watching your highlights like a week ago just because. So be that guy, man. The 2 things could be true at once, right? The second thing is, I think a lot of Alabama fans need to kind of tone it down a minute. This man, and this is why I say this, Coach DeBoer came into a program that for the better part of 2 decades was being, the tip of the spear was Coach Saban, who's known as the GOAT. The reason why Alabama fans felt better after a loss is because we knew, come hell or high water, Coach Saban would have you guys locked in. We just knew after halftime, whatever was said in that locker room, whatever was done during practice that week, we knew that he could play psychological warfare good enough to where he knew you guys would be locked in for the next game. Now that he's gone, Alabama, I think fans would forget how it started, how Coach Saban's tenure started at the University of Alabama. The tenure, it stops now. Now it starts over again. Coach DeBoer has to be able to prove that he can do that the same way. But going into week 3 in his second season and people are calling for the man's job, I think is a little bit crazy. What I do find crazy is that Coach Womack does not blitz a lot. I don't think he blitzes enough. He needs to blitz more. I think he needs to let his dogs off the leash. I'm not saying do it all the time, but absolutely you need to blitz more, man. These quarterbacks cannot sit in the pocket against Alabama and understand that they have all day to throw. If you guys go and look at all the quarterbacks that Alabama has on the schedule, it's tough sledding. It's tough sledding. You got Lenore Sellers. You got what's the kid? You got Gunnar Stockton. You got Garrett Nussmeier.
Aguilar at Tennessee.
You got Joey Aguilar. You got Diego Pavia. Yes.
Yeah.
You have got to dial it up, because even though some of these guys are in their first year, some of them have been in that offense for a while now. You've got to dial up the heat, because what you're putting on film right now is that Bama's going to stick with this 4-2-5, and they're not going to send a 5th guy off the edge. They're not going to do like a corner cat blitz. They're not going to do any of that stuff. They're just going to say, hey, our guys are going to be able to get to your guys. And the answer is our guys don't. We don't get there. 1 sack out of 2 games is not nearly enough. That's not the standard. Not from what I've seen for the last 17, 18 years. That's not the standard. You have got to heat these quarterbacks up. Virginia Tech did a really great job of keeping Lenore Sellers in check for the most part of that game. You've got to be able to adapt and overcome. You have to be able to adapt to the type of offense you're playing. And I just think the defense isn't lacking it right now. I think missing Tim Keaton's a big thing because he looks like he's the leader of the defense, but you still have to have another guy step up. You have to have another guy step up and get those guys fired up. And I'm just not seeing it right now, but I'm still supporting my team. Win, lose, or tie, and roll tide till I die. Thanks for taking the call, Christian, man. You guys have a great day and roll tide, brother.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that, MC. Roll Tide, man. Good stuff, man. Love it. He brought the heat, man. But he did say he came from the gym, so he must be feeling that pre-workout, man. I love it. And honest playing. All right, let's hit a timeout. Stay on schedule. When we come back, we keep on rolling. 205-342-9904 is the number. Got plenty more to talk about. We might as well go ahead and piggyback off that. We're going to talk about the pass rush today, and MC went ahead and brought it up, made some good points. So we'll dive into that and more coming up right on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. All right, good stuff. That's a perfect segue. We'll talk a little bit about this pass rush. Let me open this door because this dog is obviously he wants to listen to the show. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Wait, who's playing?
The week 1 to week 2 improvements that you'd expect to have.
Oh, yeah.
That needed to have.
Let's see. I'll let that play in the background.
Nice and
let's hit some questions real quick.
I'm sure on that. Your quarterback's always a main kind of a controller of that, and he did a nice job. I think guys did a nice job at channeling the energy that needed to have happen throughout the week in the right things, just focused on the right areas. And so I thought they did a nice job there with that. So 3 takeaways, no turnovers. Love to see that. 2 of them were fumbles. Last year we got a lot of interceptions. And so love to see
when Tim K gets back,
and,
this could release additional pass rush for everyone. His leadership is going to be huge. Yeah, only thing okay is I'll be honest, man. I mean, he's definitely more of a run stopping type defensive tackle, right?
Just a ton of respect for Coach Fick. We got to move forward. We got to stack days.
But
to sustain the effort.
It is important though. You got to have guys to work with on the inside, right? And I do think he's probably, even though he's, ideally more of a run stopping defensive tackle. The fact though that he's more experienced than the guys that are working in right now. So naturally that should help boost, right, pass rush productivity. Not necessarily him winning some like crazy one-on-one reps, but say he's working with games and stuff. I'd much rather work with a guy like that than, no disrespect to the young guys, but they don't have the experience or that feel like he might have. So I do think that could help out. And it's got to go both ways. I mean, like, and this is that thing. Again, MC told me to talk my talk, right? So if you guys are wondering, right, it's not cap, right? It's fifth in the country in pass rush productivity, right? So anyway, that being said, another thing about pass rush, and one thing is I wouldn't have been that successful if I didn't have guys like Quinnen and Bugs and Raekwon to also work with, even though Bugs did cost me a couple sacks because he wasn't disciplined on keeping his contain on his part when we were running games. Cough, cough. I'm just playing. Somewhat. But anyway, no, I'm kidding. But anyway, you gotta have people to work with. And so I just think we gotta, across the board, we gotta be better. I mean, the edge guys definitely need to be better, but at the same time, they got to be able to rely on those interior guys to help collapse the pocket from the inside. Because think about it. When the pocket is being collapsed from the inside, where is it going, right? The quarterback's being forced out. You do your job, they flush them to you. And vice versa. When he's feeling heat off the edge, where is he? He steps up, right? So we work together. It's a tandem, man. It's like there's a reason Q had all those sacks, the reason I had all those sacks. We worked together, right? Bugs, same thing, right? When you have pressure coming from the outside, inside, the quarterback has nowhere to go. And you can collapse a pocket, but you can do it in And welcome back into the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Great call from MC, by the way. And he brought in the perfect segue. We're going to talk about pass rush, right? What needs to be done. I was just talking before we came back, right? Because he told me to brag a little bit, so I just threw this on the screen. It was my numbers for my senior year. And I guess I had a pass rush productivity grade of 12.1. I don't really know what that means. I just know they had me ranked 5th in the country, right? But 10 sacks, 10 hits, 19 hurries. What I'm getting at is I'm not saying that to brag. That's the last thing I'm trying to do. Just explaining that this was my senior year, right? And yes, I was playing great. However, pass rush, man, it's like a dance, not only with the tackle, but also with your defensive tackles, your interior guys. And I was explaining, like, you know, as productive as I was, it was because I was, you know, working my tail off, but also having guys like, you know, Quinnen Williams, Isaiah Buggs, and Raekwon Davis working in the middle. You know, when I would be, you know, forcing the quarterback off the edge, he would be stepping up into those guys, right, into the teeth of our defensive line. When they would be, you know, getting immediate pressure in the interior, he has nowhere to go but outside. He's flushing it to me, right? So, and right now we don't really have either of those. You know, we don't have any dominant guys on the inside, and we don't really have any dominant guys on the outside. And I think that's why you just don't really see any crazy production right now. And I know last week, I mean, there were some times to get the guy on the ground, and that's one thing. I think, yes, I mean, finishing on those plays is one thing, but I still, like I was saying earlier, I just don't see any dominant threats right now. Now, I know LT is a guy that has done it. We've seen it. He's very effective, but these guys have to take it to the next level, especially what we just talked about with MC. When you go down the road and you're playing these, you know, better opponents, and some that definitely like to throw the football, a la LSU, right? You got to get pressure on the quarterback. Personally, I think my solution would be, right, is just you're going to have to call pressures. You're going to have to bring pressure, right? There's probably no other way around it unless these guys just take that next step immediately. I think you just got to go ahead and start dialing stuff up. And I mentioned this before, but when we all got hurt in 2017, right, that was kind of our approach, right? We had to find other ways to dial up pressure and affect the quarterback. And that can come in from a number of things, right? You can, you know, bring a backer, right? You can bring the safety, like a star, what we call the Husky, right? You know, bring the Husky off the edge, just mixing it up. Run more games, which I do think we've seen more of, right? That play that Janze got his arm, they ran a TE game, right? Run more games. Like, there's things that you can do, right? If your guys aren't just winning their one-on-ones like that, you got to call games. You got to mix it up, like, or try different looks. Like, for instance, like, you could try a load front, right? What is a load front? It's where you load 3 guys to one side of the line of scrimmage and you work out of that. So, and these are like third down situations. But what I'm saying is, like, when you get them in these third and long situations, man, you got to simulated pressures. Like, I think Kane's got to open it up, if I'm being honest with you, right? Like, with our personnel, with our group of guys, we could have even fronts, 4 guys in the line of scrimmage. Let me make sure. I know Daryl's in here. He's going to get on me for talking too technical. Even front, even number of guys in the line of scrimmage, 4 guys. We could get away with that, right? Because, again, my senior year, me, Quinnen Williams, Raekwon Davis, Anthony Jennings, we're winning our one-on-ones. So we can call a bunch of even fronts and just let us go. We can work, right? We can run, if we wanted to improvise and just run a clear game, which is like, I have the in or out, right? I have the free reign to either take it inside or not, whatever, and then the tackle plays off of me. We had that ability and we had that chemistry. With this group, personally, again, I just don't. It's a different group of guys. It's not their fault. I just don't think we just don't have that same group of guys. So call more games, try different stuff, you know. And back to load front, that's you're loading 3 guys on one side, right? So you have like literally like 3 guys loaded up on one side of the line of scrimmage, and then backside guys, and then you can work off of that and mix it up. And I think you might see more success trying to do that, because I haven't seen us really do anything crazy in terms of those looks just yet. I know we've called some pressures. I've seen some cat blitzes. I've seen a couple of things, seen us plug backers. But I'm like, if we're going to get so fancy with like the first and second down stuff by mugging guys and having them pop and do all this on third down, man, like, let's see some exotic pressures. Like, at this point, like, what do we have to lose? Like, we're not really getting pressure like that anyway. So that's personally what I would do. and I'm sure they might have some of those looks. But the other thing is like even like think about this, guys. Like for a cheetah package, I don't even think we have the personnel to get in a cheetah package where it would be worth it. Because at the end of the day, you want to get your best rushers on the field. And typically when you're loaded with edge guys, yeah, that would look like that. That's why we had the cheetah package, right? Who would you rather have on the field getting at the quarterback? When you have Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, Chris Braswell, and then you have these big guys, like, no disrespect, because they're good players, like Byron Young and Phil Mike Mathis, like again, they're great players, but like when you have edge guys that two of them are first rounders and then the second rounder, hell, put all three of their asses on the field and let them work. Who will we do that with this group? I mean, you got Quay Russaw, Yanze. You're not going to put Latham out there to do that, and he would be the next in line. And then after that, you got Noah Carter, who, I mean, he was productive in the second scrimmage, but again, I mean, I haven't really seen him in the first two games like that, other than this last game, maybe. So what I'm saying, guys, you don't really have that personnel. So, like, for instance, like 2016, we could do, I mean, Tim, me, Rashawn Evans, Ryan Williams, Ryan Anderson. I just don't think we have the personnel to answer y'all's questions. So what's the answer to that? Call different things, some pressures, some simulated pressures, mix it up. And I think that will end up resulting in that type of, I guess, production. At least for now, then maybe those edge guys will step it up maybe. I don't know. I don't know. That being said, let's go ahead and hit this top of the hour break. When we come back, we keep on rolling here. 205-342-9904 is the number to the program. And we'll go back to the phone lines and discuss some more. Plus, we'll hear some of these coaches talk about the matchup. And I'll start giving some more thoughts on Wisconsin, who travels to Tuscaloosa this Saturday. All coming up right on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa.
All right. I'm not gonna lie. This Daryl character dude, this has got to be somebody trolling. This guy said he's 66. There's no way a 66-year-old is writing with 6 or 7 O's like that. So obviously this is somebody trolling. So and I'm about to just go ahead and just block this dude because he's starting to get on my nerves. Please answer other questions, especially mine. I love hearing your voice. The comment. Yeah, this is obviously a troll. So, all right, buddy. You will be. You know what? Nah, I'm not even listening. It's a waste of time. I'm just gonna start ignoring it though, because it's obviously a joke, or somebody's being a troll, which is just funny. I mean, people don't have anything better to do at midday, literally on weekdays. That explains a lot. And if you knew anything about radio, there's segments, right? So when you only have 6 minutes, you start answering a question and you have a call. You can't go to the call with only a couple minutes left. So you have to stretch it to the top of the hour. So that's how it works, brother. It's in a podcast, is a radio show that we're streaming. So you have to time stuff. So if I just answer that question in 2 minutes and I'm sitting there with 3 minutes, that's not enough to take a call. What else am I going to do? So troll or not, man, like I said, you're starting to get on my nerves, brother. You're about to get kicked out of here. Let's see what else we got. We've only played 2 games. It's coming. The sacks are coming. Yeah, Justin, but the thing is, like I said, man, it's not about the numbers. Like, yeah, we'll get more sacks, man. But again, think about last year. We were last in we were like almost like 14th in what's it called? Tackles for losses. So I mean this and pass rush production was also about that. So you have to take that into consideration. So I get what you're saying. It's only 2 games, but I'm just being honest with you. Even going back to what I saw during training camp and before that, I wasn't really seeing anything like that. So I get what you're saying, but it's a little bit more than just those 2 games numbers. You know what I mean? Like I'm going off the tape and what I've been seeing, not just the numbers. Is it scheme and personnel? Honestly, I first and foremost, I immediately go to personnel. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you got guys that can go win one-on-ones, it doesn't matter what you call. They'll go out there and they'll win reps, right? I think about this. I know it's an extreme example, but like, look at Myles Garrett. Do you think it matters if they're in the odd, even front, calling a game? Dude, Myles Garrett is Myles. He's going to go win his reps, right? When Will Anderson was here, we played him out of position. Will Anderson was playing out of before eyes.
Christian Miller.
245 pounds. That's out of position. That's bad scheme, right? And guess what? That guy still was as productive as he was, you know?
Knocked down again.
Which former players that you play with could you see get into coaching? I would say Minka. Smart dude, you know, driven, very structured. I think he would be a phenomenal coach, honestly. Oh, yeah. And welcome back into this Wednesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts. All right, so hour number one in the books. Hour number two, man. Let's start with this clip real quick. This is just Kalen DeBoer. I don't even think we ever got to his press conference, but I think this is just him just kind of previewing Wisconsin a little bit as we start to dive a little bit more in that direction.
The energy and continue to focus on our fundamentals. You know, a lot of young guys got some experience that I think was really good. Guys are understanding their roles and need to continue to move forward with that and have a big week here. Play again, Bryant-Denny Stadium. It was good to be at home. Guys really could feel the juice and the energy from the fans. You know, and it helps when you make the plays to give them something to cheer about too. So just a lot of positives, and we got to keep it going.
Charlie, on the far right. Yeah, Coach, with you guys playing Austin in the second quarter for a series, it sounds like that's something you guys did at Fresno with Jake Haener. Just how did you see Jake respond to that, and maybe how are you hoping Ty does the same thing?
Yeah, it's something I've done a number of times over the years, going way back, but that's one of the more recent ones. And so, you know, Jake bowed up. He bowed up, and thought Ty responded pretty well too, you know, and it's one of those they kind of question probably at first why, but I think competition is just going to bring out the best in everyone. And I think that did that for Ty in his week of preparation. Obviously, it helps Austin, gives him some energy to really go out there, and you know we're looking at him. He got some quality snaps in the game, and you know across the board we did that. We do that at other positions and don't really think twice about it. We guys rotating in at defensive positions. We do that at the offensive line, you know, receiver personnel groupings. We're doing a lot of that. So again, competition, you know, helping bring out the best. And, you know, that's what Jake did. And I think that's what Ty did here this last week.
Well, today, the Crimson Tide will host Wisconsin on Saturday at 11 a.m. Central on ABC. And Coach, while we wait on any questions, if you could
segue in real quick, I forgot to pull this one up instead, guys. This is the teleconference call ahead of Wisconsin. So this is Coach DeBoer giving any updates and answering questions today. It's a little bit more recent, but here we go.
Take a moment to comment on your squad as you enter Saturday's home game versus Wisconsin.
Yeah, it was good to be back home in Bryant-Denny on Saturday and get to do that again here this weekend. We took a step forward and against Monroe, but we know it's going to take another level of physicality, strain, execution, discipline this week against a team that prides themselves on those very things. And so, you know, as a defense, they've only given up 67 yards total in 2 games rushing and 10 points. Offensively, they're going to shift motion, challenge you, physicality, but then also get you with the gotcha plays and gimmicks, the reverses, you know, all of it. So everyone's got to really do a good job of being disciplined and doing their job and bringing a high level of intensity and physicality.
First up, we have Mike Rodak of 24/7.
Yeah, Kalen, just wanted to ask about the injured players, also including Danny Lewis in that group, and then just the roster status of Aaron Hampton as well.
Bubba. Okay. Bubba's not been with us for quite a while, so going to early fall camp. And injury status, help me out if I don't get someone that you want to know on. Jamarian Latham and Jam Miller and TK are all going to be game time decisions. And so they're getting their work in, making some progress. And so, not much difference between all three of them, even though they are different injuries.
Sorry, Ryan as well.
Oh, Ryan Williams, we expect him to play.
And then, sorry, one more, Danny Lewis from.
Yeah, Danny Lewis is still. Sorry, Danny Lewis will be out this weekend still, but is making progress.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next is Colin Gay of the Tuscaloosa News.
Hey, Kalen, I'm curious about what next steps you want to see out of Isaiah Horton. I guess through his first two games, what you've seen out of him and what you want to, see him do in your offense moving forward.
Yeah, in the first game, unfortunately, just got dinged up and was really limited. And by the mid part of last week, I really was back and rolling, and I thought he did a really nice job. Continuing to get in the groove with Ty in particular. The more and more reps those guys get in practice, you can see it coming along, and just been a good addition to the team from an intensity standpoint, and a want-to factor. He just love his attitude and what he does for us there. So it was great to see him get the catch, the touchdown, big target, quarterback friendly. Ty, I thought did a nice job, finding him and delivering the throw, and then those guys making the play.
Perfect. Thanks.
Yep.
Next is Nick Kelly of AL.com.
Hey, Dylan, a year ago when you played Wisconsin, it was a fairly complete game that your team played. I'm just curious, what clicked there? What do you think worked well to be able to play that complete game?
Yeah, I think we were consistent, and the consistency didn't mean that all of a sudden there was a barrage of points that went up on the board in the first quarter or the second quarter. If we were behind early, 3-0, and battled, put some good drives together, got a takeaway or two, and right at the end of the first half was really a big piece. I talked to the team about that this summer, about just continuing to, take punches and keep the pedal down, and good things will happen. But we got the ball back. Well, they had the ball actually about ready to go in and score in our territory at the end of the first half, and we got to stop and got 7 points on the board, and turned around and got the ball again and got 7 more. And really, that was just a great moment for us to understand why you finish the half, why you come out and start the half with great intensity. So that certainly eased the game, and then we just continued to settle in, and everyone did their job. They played physical, and that's going to be what it's going to take this week. The ball might not be in your hands as much. They're going to try to ball control. They're 35 to 25 time of possession in the 2 games they've played, and that's the style of game. They're going to run down the clock and try to keep it out of our offense hands.
Thanks.
Next is Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Hey, Coach. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
Wanted to ask you mentioned about Wisconsin from last year to this year. How similar or different do they look just through this early part of the sample size of the season?
Yeah, the foundation defensively is certainly the same. Offensively, it's different with new coordinator and style of play there. But I don't know. There's a piece of me watching the games last year after we played them. I thought they raised their level of physicality and intensity. I don't know if that's what sparked it, but they played on another level. I've shared that with our guys, and so that's what we got to be ready for, is them hitting the road and having that mindset that they played at throughout the back half of the year. Even though they came out on the short side, there were some games that they were in and, pushed the opponent to the limit.
And really, you could not help but notice the physicality on Saturday. How much of the leaders have stepped up really since the Florida State game for your team, Coach?
Yeah, we took a step for sure in the right direction, and we should. And no disrespect to Monroe, but there, we were just bigger and more physical there. The leadership was critical. Just the energy that they brought and intentionality that was seen throughout the week, and it was on the practice field. It was in the meeting rooms. I was happy to see the guys, go out there and will it to happen. And know that there might be times when you take a punch and, the question is going to be how hard are you going to punch back and how many times you're going to punch back. And that's going to be what it's going to take this week and then some.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
If there are any final questions for Coach, please use the raise hand function. We have a follow-up from Steve.
Yep.
Coach, I do. I heard you talk earlier in the week about playing multiple quarterbacks. Is that a week-by-week thing of just purely how they look on the practice field heading into a Saturday for you, Coach?
We just felt that after week one and just how the game went, again, we preach competition across the board at all positions. And so it was a decision earlier in the week because we had the conversations with the quarterbacks on that Monday. But it certainly raised their level. And, it was something that was seen in how they executed and, with the completion percentage of one thing. But just I thought they were really sharp, really crisp in everything they did, from the body language to the play calling to just execution and making the throws that they needed to make to help us be successful.
Is there anything you look in particular if a guy is, say, on a heater of not wanting to spoil that, if you know what I mean, Coach?
Yeah, and we were intentional on wanting to get Austin in specifically in the second quarter, and Ty had done some pretty nice things. So yeah, we might have spoiled that in some ways, but that was what's really great to see is Ty not flinch, Ty support Austin. Austin go out there, have some success, and then Ty get back right in it and go have, kind of take off from where he had just ended. So I was really pleased with Ty's response from the beginning of the week all the way through the end, just really bowed up and, took it as competition and understanding that that's one of the staples in our program, and he rose to the challenge.
Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
Coach, we'll finish you up with Mike Griffith of the AJC.
Coach, I saw the oversight committee approve the portal window 2nd through the 12th. I think there's one more step ahead for that. But what's the significance of moving the portal window to those dates and shrinking the number of available transfer dates for the student athletes?
Well, I think most guys know when, or not when, but if they're going to have interest in entering the portal. And so you don't think you need these long windows. And especially when there's a lot of games left to be played, like you would have with bowl season, and the portal being through December really makes it interesting. You're having a lot of conversations with guys, and we didn't have a ton of transfers, but there's still enough where guys are either visiting campus or there's enough messaging out there. It makes bowl season really interesting for your team, not just the coaches, but the team. And, it probably affected us in some form or fashion, but I think it's good. You got playoffs going on. You got things, that you like to have your focus on in the season, and it's on your team and trying to be the best you can be and finish out the year. And then you worry about the portal. And I understand there's going to be games after that portal window too, with the semis and the championship, but it's a better solution than what it was.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yep, you bet.
All right, so that was head coach Kalen DeBoer speaking during the SEC teleconference today. So got his preview on Wisconsin, talked a little bit about the injury updates, and more. So we got to hit a timeout. When we come back, we'll discuss it and more right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
This is the Bosch man from Taylor Electrical. I had some amazing.
So while he was talking, I was listening, but I went back and watched the first 3 quarters of that Florida State game of us on defense because somebody asked about the disguises, and like I said, I only going off of what I remember, gave an answer, but I wanted to at least go back and just double check. And what I said was pretty much right, that there was some kind of modest disguise in here and there occasionally. I mean, but not a whole bunch of it. So you were right. There wasn't a ton of it. I didn't pay attention to ULM just yet. Probably should, because obviously that was when we corrected things. But at least through the first game, wasn't a whole bunch of disguising. But I will add, though, I think part of that could have been, I mean, number one, Florida State ran the football a whole bunch, right? Normally when you're disguising stuff, I mean, if you're expecting to run, there's not going to be as much disguising than you would if it's a passing situation. And 2, there was some, but I think it came a little bit more in the second half. But yeah, so that probably is something they want to do a little bit more for sure. But I do know last year there wasn't a whole bunch of it, and it was pretty evident when we were playing man. However, sometimes it's hard to really truly disguise man, because if there's any type of motion, which is the other thing, I think part of it too is it's hard to disguise when you know you're expecting a whole bunch of motions, right? You got to be careful. You don't want to get caught up disguised, and then you're thrown off when you actually have to adjust to a true motion. So maybe that could have been why they're a little hesitant there. But I just wanted to go back that way I could make sure I give you guys a complete answer, because I don't ever want to just give you a half-ass thing. What was the other thing I think somebody might have asked? I know y'all are asking about the scheme with the pass rush stuff, but and bringing pressure. We dialed up pressure at times in this game, but again, when you're facing a team that you're expecting to run, I mean, the game plan is going to be a little different at times. I will say, though, that one time we did bring a cat blitz from the boundary with Damani. We got hit on that wheel route with Deontay, and then Mincy chasing him from behind. And then I just watched another one. We brought pressure on 3rd and 9. That's when Keon Sabb got that sack where they brought the house. I mean, it literally was a zero blitz, right? So he brings 6 guys, but not like a whole bunch. So I definitely would rather see more pressure moving forward. Danny O'Neal has thrown a pick in each of his first 2 games for Wisconsin so far, hoping to see Sabb and the usual ball hawks force some turnovers through the air. Yeah, but Austin, you gotta affect them first too, though. But you're right. I mean, he hadn't been great, and they like to run the ball too. So first and foremost, man, we got to stop the run. So that's going to be the most important thing. They're looking to run the football.
Five degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, thank you, bro. All right.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
Move the inbox. And welcome back into the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Art Sport Experts. Just heard from head coach Kalen DeBoer. Let's go to the phone lines now, get y'all's thoughts on that and more. 205-342-9904. We got Tommy up next. Tommy, welcome in.
Hey, Preston, how are you today?
I'm good, Tommy. How are you?
Can't complain. I was going to say, everybody's worried about pass rush, but when I saw Saturday night, everybody played with intensity for the whole game. And guess what? People don't worry about the coach no more. We got young talent. And the seniors and juniors can't get it done. Some of them sophomore and freshmen look like they are very hungry. to show the world what they can do for Alabama football. So we just got them play our game. Don't overlook Wisconsin because they're going to be a physical football team. They Big Ten, Wisconsin have always played physical, smash mouth football.
Mm-hmm.
That's their MO. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I want the fans to bring the intensity. I know the game is at 11 o'clock. I made a comment Monday. I got some folks upset on the other show. I'm like, hey, fraternity guys and gals and sorority gals, lay off the Budweiser Friday night and bring your A game Monday. Do it after the victory Saturday. Be ready. Don't be dragging in late. Tell me be ready to support the team. They make noise when Wisconsin have the ball because they are very good defense.
Yeah, and I was gonna... Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm happy how the coaches say. I mean, they corrected mistakes. I like the motivation he did on the fourth series and put Mac in. Yeah, I'm going to see what he does and not a mop-up duty in a game situation. I was very impressed with all three quarterbacks. I'm impressed with the kids from County High. Our receivers getting better. They pick it up. Williams on there. We get Jam Mac and get Ron Mac and everybody else improve. We're going to be tough to cover. I mean, we'll have plenty of weapons to move the ball around.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the biggest concern, Tommy, at all. I mean, I think everybody, if anything, that's probably the group we're most confident in, right? I mean, especially the way Jeremy Bernard has continued to step up, and it's not like this is anything new. I mean, if you go back to last year, I mean, he was a very good weapon last year, and I think he's just continued to build off of that. I think the biggest thing to me, Tommy, is that we can continue to clean up the little details that might not have necessarily been glaring. That surface level, again, I think people just say, oh, 73-0, great, but just like you heard Kalen DeBoer speak, right? I mean, there's still some things, offensive line-wise, that's got to get better, right? We know that for a fact. You might not have noticed it this past weekend in the blowout, but it could show back up down there. It will show back up if it's not cleaned up. And the reason people were mentioning the pass rush, including myself, is because we know that's going to show up down the road. You've got to be able to affect the quarterback. I mean, I don't care how you spin it. You've got to. I don't care how many turnovers you force or this or that. I mean, you have to get pressure on the quarterback. So hopefully they continue to work on that, which I know they will. We heard Coach Womack, talk about that. That's one of the key key emphasis moving forward, and hopefully they can clean that up. Because I think right now, man, that everything else kind of falling into place. Quarterback play looks pretty solid. Running back play, like you mentioned, Kevin Riley has been impressive. Offensive line just needs to continue to clean some things up. Receivers have been pretty solid as well. Then defensively, at least we got the physicality back. Now we just got to get some more pressure on the quarterback.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just because of this Alabama team, and you'll see a lot of top-notch quarterback this year. The kid from Oklahoma is a front runner. Look like now, Nussmeier at LSU, kid at Tennessee, South Carolina, Auburn. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I don't want to forget the transfer Penn State quarterback to Missouri. I'm seeing a lot of top-notch quarterback in this conference. So the defense got to tighten up. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
100%.
So,
Yeah, we got some good quarterbacks. You meant Mateer. I mean, Aguilar from Tennessee's looked pretty solid so far. Obviously, Nussmeier from LSU. Everybody's, talking about him. So, yeah, man, we got to get right for those games, and that's why we're harping on some of these little details right now, Tommy, because they will come up. Best believe that.
it's good to harp and start complaining after the bad things happen. So, yeah, harping is good. It brings out. All right, man. Roll Tide.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Tommy. Roll Tide, brother. Good deal. So here's a clip real quick, and I'll get to this during the break, so we're not, I guess, doing it. But I just wanted to show you guys what we're talking about in terms of pass rush, at least what I've been mentioning about the technique, right? And you can kind of see it just even in this clip right here. I guess I can just let it play, but if you just look how it, collapse in the pocket is one thing, but when you know what I mean? Like, you see guys just kind of running down the middle, bull rush there. I know Janze had a tight end in front of him, so his angle was a little bit off, but you see both edge guys right here. 2 hands on the tackle, straight down the middle of them. You're never going to win that race. If you're a true speed to power guy and you set it up where you have a better angle, then you go into the bull, maybe, right? But you're talking about a 235, 240-pound middle linebacker on the left side, 245-pound outside backer who already had a bad angle. You're basically giving a gift to the offensive tackle. So I'll dive more into that too. And plus, again, if you guys want to actually watch me break this down a little bit more, check us out on the YouTube stream at the Miller's Edge. I'll do that probably during the timeout. That way we don't waste too much time during the callers segment. But let's do this, Chase. Let's just hit an early timeout. We'll hit it a minute early. That way when we come back, we got Pat on the line. So I want to make sure we get you guys in. And then we'll continue breaking down this matchup with Wisconsin and talking about some of these things that need to be cleaned up moving forward. Right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Your flagship home.
All right, now we can dive into this. Sorry, because radio is hard for me to do it too much while people are. Somebody said every 5 seconds, but how does it work though? If you pause before 5 seconds, how do you do it where like you can change the number of seconds where you backtrack? That's what I need. I just don't know how to do that though. Because what is it right now? 5 seconds? Isn't there a way to make it shorter or longer? Does anybody know how to do that? I thought speeding it up might be ideal. That way I can just skip past the stuff. Do you see what I'm talking about right here? And I'm sorry I sped up, man. Just trying to work around this copyright stuff. Oh, don't worry about it, Bam Bam. We kicked him out. Or I not kicked him out. I just banned him because he claims he's a 66-year-old guy, but the way he was typing and talking, I think it's somebody just trolling. But anyway, we're gonna stay on our mission. But like this pocket right here, that like this guy could sit there all day, right? I mean, James is getting double teamed right here. He's getting double teamed. Oh, I was about to say that's a back. I'm like, hold on, how they got 2 double teams like that with no tight end? The back came up, but see what I'm saying, guys? Like, you got to find ways. You got to affect them. Right? I mean, like that pocket right there. I mean, no bueno. Now, sorry, this copy is weird. It goes black a whole bunch during this upload. I don't know why. So let me skip through, get back on defense. So here's a 3rd and 6. Let's see if they disguise, because that's what we're trying to look for, right? See if we see any disguises here. Not really anything there. Split safety look. Looks like a form of cover 2. Matter of fact, it is cover 2. Quick teaching lesson. How do we know it's cover 2? Because you got split safety coverage right here. You see the corners. Watch their technique. Cover 2. Call cover 2 because you got 2 deep safeties, right? Playing the halves. But also the corners are flat players, right? See his technique? He's a flat player. So we're playing cover 2 right here. And the reason I know there's no disguise is because we're showing just split safety. I mean, and we're both corner. Oh, whoops. Wait, what did I just do? Like if he wanted to disguise, it's like technically Keon could have come down, right? Showed like single high, then, bailed out. But anyway, it is what it is. Just answering that question. They run a game right here. So this game is called, actually, no, that is not that. What are they running? So when I said ET earlier, real quick, let me explain that, by the way. ET is the end setting the pick. So LT right here, basically he would sell up field, 2 steps, go pick the hip with his guard, right? This guy, Simmons, he would go attack vertical at first to keep the attention of the guard because you don't want the guard just to turn because then he'll ear hole or just meet LT head on. And so he goes and sells and gets the attention of the guard / center right here. That way, when LT comes in there, he can catch that hip, then he'll wrap for contain, which initially I was thinking it was more of the opposite of that would be a TE, right? Which is literally just flip it. So TE would be the tackle sets the pick, which at first I kind of thought that might have been what they're trying to do here. But if that's the case, that would be terrible technique by this guy because he's got to go pick this tackle, which it looks like he's trying to do. But then what happens is on that game, you end up wrapping, but he's way too far inside. So that's what I'm saying. I don't even know what game. Let me see what they're doing at the top. Yeah, so I think they were trying to run. So basically, Norman, and sometimes you do like you have an ET on one side, T on the other. It looks like they're trying to get to an ET up here. You see this end trying to set that pick. James wrapping. So that's effective, right? That was good. He wrapped for contain. He gets almost a sack, right? Quay's got to finish on that. I mean, that's a gift. I mean, James pushed to force it right back to you. You got to finish that play. And welcome back into Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Let's keep rolling on the phone lines, get everybody squeezed in here so we can jump back in. We're watching a little bit of this tape from ULM. We're talking about some pass rush here, right? Because that's been the emphasis. And we were kind of pointing out some of the things that they were doing, right? This was on the second drive. We just talked about them running the game here where they ran a TE to the bottom of the field. The top of the field, they ran an ET game, which actually was successful. The bottom one was ran poorly. At the top, Quay and James, which were high school teammates, ironically, did a nice job. Quay setting the pick, James wrapping for contain. And you guys could see if you're watching on the YouTube copy how that set everything up, right? Again, Quay crashing inside, setting the pick right here. Boom, picks that the guard's hip. What does that do? The tackle doesn't know that he's setting a pick. He thinks he's going inside, so he hangs on. And then you see James wrapping tight for contain. Really nice execution. Problem is, once you get there, number one, hands up, which solid. Well, he didn't really do it there, but I would definitely tell him to do that. And two, we got to find a way to get the quarterback on the ground. That's the finishing part we're talking about, especially right here, man. As good of an athlete as Quay Rusaw is, man. James got a hold of his shirt, man. We got to get him on the ground. Got to get him on the ground. That's leaving food on the table. All right, let's go to the phone lines, 205-342-9904. We got Pat up next. Pat, welcome in.
Hey, good, man. Christian. But I'm beginning to wonder how anybody is able to call into your radio show because there wasn't 30,000 fans left in the stands at the end of the ball game. We didn't know anything about what happened. It was a pathetic showing, really was, by the Alabama fan base. I pray that this weekend there's a totally different group. The group that was at that game last weekend were people that were looking for $5 and $10 tickets, not the people that donate money. And what I have to do in order to have the privilege to buy those seats that they wanted for $10. That I can't say enough bad things about those particular fans. But I'm scared to death that they're bringing in a center with Wisconsin that is the best center in the whole conference up there, from what I understand. And he's anchoring an offensive line that's not too shabby. I think we're going to have to be out doing all kind of creative stuff to get to this quarterback. What do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously that's definitely going to be a matchup, right? If you're talking about a really good center going against some freshman nose tackles, right? So those guys are going to have to step up. My understanding is Tim is, I guess, kind of game time decision. I personally I mean, maybe he tries to give it a go. I think that's still a little soon. I would think maybe
unless we were getting beat like a yard dog, there ain't no way in the world I'm playing Tim Kenny. No way.
Yeah, I was about to say if I was, yeah, that's a great question. If it was me personally, This is how I would do it. I would try to get those young guys ready to roll where I feel like, all right, they can handle this matchup, because if you can make it through this week without having to play him, he's got all next week to heal up before going to Georgia. And I think that's ideal. I think that's
2 weeks.
Right. To me, I think that would be the best decision. But you just mentioned, I mean, if they have a really good center, man, that does make you kind of a little nervous, thinking like, all right, man, like we got a true freshman and a redshirt guy, which again, I mean, they've been doing some good things for young players. I mean, but they're obviously young. You can tell it shows up, but we'll have to see. I think regardless who plays, I think we'll be all right. But they're going to try to run the football, and so we're going to have to show up physical again, because that's what they want to do.
Yeah. What about our player from over in West Brockton that we got? Has he been able to get into the rotation any at all? He's over, well, say West Brockton. He's over in that Vance area somewhere over there. We had a real good recruit came out of there, and I can't remember his name. That's awful of me. I'm having one of them senior moments. I'm driving right now.
What position?
I think he was a defensive lineman.
I'm trying to think. Like interior defensive line?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Faga.
I could be wrong. He may be.
You've got Faga, who. I mean, you got Edric Hill. You've got Faga. You've got Landon Simmons from Mississippi.
Landon Simmons, he came from Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy, he may be an offensive lineman. He came from over. He was a pretty high. I think he was a between a 3 and a 4 star or something like that. Out of it, they pretty high. Thought a lot of him, but he may be an offensive lineman. But I can't think of who he is.
Yeah, I'm not sure, honestly, brother.
But anyway, that's bad on my part.
Listen, it happens to me all the time, brother. Don't apologize.
Yeah. Well, we ain't got but 105 of them. We got to remember, or so 110. And but look, but I am. But seriously, you got to give them their due. They're bringing in a fairly decent offensive line. They got a pretty good quarterback. Coach can't pull mouth. I can pull mouth on him. We're putting up freshmen against a really good center, and so I don't know. They got a decent running back, and so this group's going to be a little bit of a challenge, and I just hope they're not too much challenge, because like I said, we do need to get through this week and have a little time to lick our wounds and get ready to go play them little puppies over in Atlanta.
That's right. Yeah, I think
we'll play between the hedges.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is, I mean, I wouldn't look too far ahead. I would make sure you take care of business. I know Wisconsin, they have their questions of their own, but I would just, go handle business, build off what we did this past week. I wouldn't even worry. I mean, like, just know in the back of your head, yes, we got a bye week coming up, but don't let that creep in too much, man. Just focus on go dominating this next football team.
Gotta beat Wisconsin before we can do anything. Gotta beat Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
All right. You have because we can't have Wisconsin as one of them losses. We'll be in trouble, some serious trouble, because we got some big games coming up ahead of us for sure. You have a blessed afternoon, sir. I'm so happy to be back in Tuscaloosa. I'm going to be here for the ball game. Are you going to be down there where you were last year? When come down to either Hamburg with you or something?
Yeah, I'm going to keep you updated. It might be the first week of SEC play that's here after Georgia. So I'll keep you guys posted.
Okay, so you're not gonna be on remote this weekend?
This week probably not, but I'll definitely plan on that first SEC game, and I'll keep you guys updated on that. I promise.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Good deal. Okay. All right. Have a good afternoon. Okay.
Yes, sir. You too, man. Bye-bye. Take care. Good deal. Our buddy Pat, man, our recruiting expert here on the show. We got this tape pulled up, by the way. This clip is good example of them bringing some safety pressure. So, right, they bring Keon Sabb off the edge. So they're doing some stuff. They're throwing some stuff in there. Might just need to do it a little bit more. In terms of his question about Tim, yeah, guys, I personally think the best approach with that would be let him maybe figure it out, again, game time decision. But if you can let him have this week to rest / the bye week, I think that would be ideal. I know Justin here in the chat says Tim has been out 6 weeks. I came back playing baseball in 9 days after the surgery. Maybe we're not talking about the same thing, because there's not been one football player come back in 9 days after having a tightrope surgery with a high ankle sprain. So, Justin, I don't know what surgery or what you're describing. And the other thing is, baseball is a lot different, right, than having to go play nose tackle where you have 300-pound plus men, right, double teaming you and blocking you and trying to drive you off the football. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't play baseball, but just respectfully, there's no way that somebody in 9 days would have that surgery and be able to plant their foot in the ground and to hold up like that. And even if you do play baseball, respectfully, I don't know if I believe you, man. 9 days. Like, I had a high ankle sprain, didn't have the surgery, but I mean, it was at least 6 weeks. Anybody I know with the surgery was no less than probably 4, maybe 3.5. But that they definitely were not even close to 100%. They might have been 80%. And so position definitely plays a role in that too. But nose tackle, brother. Now that I think about it, it might be harder trying to come back quicker as like safety or like cornerback, I should say, and DB, right? Because you really got to run. Nose tackle, if you can bear the pain of really trying to plant stuff. But I'm just telling you guys, man, having an ankle injury and trying to brace with dudes literally trying to, block you and push you off the ball is not easy. So something to consider. All right, we got to hit this last time out before we come back and wrap things up right here. We'll talk. I promise we're going to get into some Wisconsin talk when we come back right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
Coming up.
All right, so I'll just let this play run real quick. But you see they do bring safety. Keon Sabb right there ends up resulting in a tackle for loss. Good play right there. Great execution. But let's go back real quick. Why it happened, what they're running. Right, they're running zone read again. Now, I'm going to give this dude a pass here. And I'll tell you guys why. If you have pressure coming off the edge, he's actually the dive player. So he's actually not wrong, right? If you have anybody coming outside of you, everything kind of shifts down. So he actually is the quarterback player, and it actually ends up working out the way it should. But technically, if they're bringing Keon like that, he shifts from being a quarterback player to the dive player. So technically, he really should just go blow that up to secure it, because that's him. He's a little behind, but ends up tackle for loss. That's a W. We'll take that. Good play, good execution. Tackle for loss. I need the TV copy to really see. Looks like Deontay's trying to communicate something here with Yanze. Maybe some type of either reminder, right? Because I don't think they're running anything. See, now Yanze's doing a sit and feather technique, because he would be the quarterback player here. They're not running anything. But just a nice job from James Smith, penetrating, staying vertical, making a play in the backfield. But again, though, you got to remember, when you play stiffer competition, it ain't going to be as easy just penetrating like that, right? So that's why we just got to make sure we continue this stuff and build off of it. Skip ahead. Oh, here's a good one. Let's look at this. Well, we can look at the second two real quick. Start the back and pistol, get them down. Jet action. Looks like some stuff we saw versus Florida State, right? Give it. Get him on the ground. This is the play I want to get to. All right, so let's see him work. So here you go. They're running the TE game right here. He goes, sets the pick. Again, it ends up working fine. But see, the whole idea, guys, so when you run these games, it's all about your sell, right? What do I mean by that? So it's all about selling it, right? So when you're running ET, which we also used to say jam or pop, right? This would be a pop, but same thing, ET. He needs to get, say he's already looking where he's going, guard, so good guards, they'll see this tackle looking at that tackle, they'll see the defensive tackle looking at the offensive tackle, and he already knows what's coming. And as soon as he realizes, because these guys practice these twists and stunts all the time, right? As soon as that guard sees that, what's he going to do? Right? A good one is going to immediately go back and turn his attention. This guy, again, not great. Any other guard would have saw that and immediately would have been ready to take him on, right? So this guy's do a better job selling upfield, then getting to that pick, right? That way you give your edge guy some space to work. He does have space because this guard is slowly reacted, and he does a nice job because he ends up having the back coming for reinforcements. Love the physicality out of that, right? Bull the back, right? No need to be trying to swim or finesse right now when you're clogged up like that. Go bull the back like he did. He keeps working. He gets skinny right there, right? And really, I can't remember if I think he barely tipped this, right? I know the pressure itself, regardless if he tipped it or not, that's what you want, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not the number like the only one sack deal, but we haven't even seen a whole bunch of this, right? But the good news is when you do have this is what happens. Tips and overthrows, and what do those lead to? Turnovers and interceptions. So, I mean, like, plays like that, we got to have more of that. That's what we need. Oh, I needed to pull up this Luke Fickell thing real quick.
Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's art support experts. All right. I was trying to get to this part with Luke Fickell breaking down this Alabama stuff, but I'll be honest with you, I'm probably going to have to skip through here and find it in the meantime. Let me check this real quick because I need to see if we have any app messages. Unless, Chase, can you see it directly? Do we have any app messages today? I didn't see any on my end, but I
don't see any either.
Oh, Reed, I'm sorry. I thought Chase was back there.
Oh, no, all good. He's chilling here.
All right, good deal. All right, so no app message there. Let me see if we can. Chase, do you remember, or Reed, do you remember at what point in the interview is that I can jump to it where he initially started talking about Alabama? I have it pulled up, but he's still talking about.
I do not, but I can take a look.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say, I wanted to get that clip of him talking about that. In the meantime, I'll just continue to I'll talk about him on my front, but if you guys don't mind finding that, I wanted him to address that. But in terms of from a defensive perspective, since we've been talking a lot of defense today, at least, and tomorrow we'll dive into a little bit more of their defense and our offense. But looking at Wisconsin's offense, new offensive coordinator comes in, and Jeff Grimes, I believe he came from Kansas, if I'm not mistaken. Watching them through 2 games, man, they definitely want to run the football. Have an interesting way of getting to it. They have a number of different looks. I mean, they use a lot of regular personnel, but you also still see a lot of motion and pre-snap movement as well. So that's what they want to do. First and foremost, they want to run the football. So going into this game, I know we've been talking about getting after the quarterback and all that, and that will be important. I think Austin pointed out earlier their quarterback has thrown an interception in each of the first 2 games, right? So that will be important. But just in terms of even getting to that point, man, we got to stop the run. I know that's something that this team wants to do, right? They're going to look at that Florida State tape and see that team was able to rush for 230 yards on us. That's what you're going to expect. In terms of types of runs and what they get to, a lot of zone scheme stuff. I mentioned the regular personnel. I mean, you'll see, multiple tight end looks, 12 personnel and whatnot. Even some two-back stuff has come up on tape, right? So that being said, in terms of us defending it, wouldn't be shocked if you see more of those 3-4 looks that we've seen, especially against Florida State, right? The way we, match their personnel, saw those 3-4 looks, right? I wouldn't be shocked if you see some more of that in this game, because again, you got to match personnel, and I think they'll definitely try to go with some heavier sets to establish the running game. In a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say their offensive coordinator is a former offensive line coach. So if that doesn't tell you anything about wanting to run the football, they definitely going to plan on getting to it. So got to be ready to stop that. And Pat mentioned their center. I guess I should probably look that up. I didn't realize their center was an All-American, but if he is, again, you look at that matchup and you do wonder, right? If our young guys will be able to hold up, which again, I think they've done some pretty decent things. I'll be honest, Simmons has impressed me to be a true freshman, the 3-star guy that probably not many people realistically thought that he would be contributing so early. I thought he's looked pretty good, especially, ULM. He had some flashes here and there. And so hopefully he can continue to step up against a better opponent. But definitely, again, run first offense, you'll see, a lot of, pro style looks. So like I formation stuff. I mean, they implement, the fullback, right? So it's almost like a blend of, how do you explain this? Like they've got a lot of like classic principle stuff, but you see the newer age stuff weaved into their system. So it's kind of creative, right? Which makes you understand, right? You got to be ready to play physical, got to be ready to play a physical style of a rushing attack, but at the same time, be prepared for a lot of the movement, other things that are going to be coming your way. So I'll be honest with you. That being said, this is the same team that struggled against Middle Tennessee for the first half of their football game last week. Second half was much better. And so that's what leads me to my point about, they got some stuff to figure out. I'm not underestimating them. I'm just being completely transparent. Throwing the football, is not their strong suit by any means. They've kind of struggled there. And it's definitely going to be try to build that off of the run. You'll see a lot of play action type stuff. They're not really looking for, everybody's looking for explosive plays, but that's not really who they are. So I think it's going to be one of those games, man. You just got to be ready to get down and dirty, be physical. And again, if you can stop them in that aspect, because that's what they want to do, it definitely makes them one-dimensional, and that's where they're going to struggle. So in this game, I'm really looking ahead to our front seven, who we've been talking a lot about. They've got to play well. We need them to build off that physicality that we saw against ULM. We need James Smith to continue to step up. We need all our guys to continue to step up and be the physical forces that they were this last game, right? Again, it was against ULM, but now they got an opportunity to go out there and prove it against a better opponent. I wouldn't say they're a great opponent, but a better opponent. So we'll definitely look forward to that. That being said, we'll continue breaking them down. I'll definitely dive way more into Wisconsin tomorrow. Look a little bit more at their defense as well, how our offense matches up there, and more. Plus, we'll continue to dive into a whole bunch of other stuff right here on the Miller's Edge, per usual. Presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch support experts. Appreciate every shout out appreciate everybody. Shout out to Chase, Reed, Behind the Glass, all our listeners, everybody in the chat, YouTube, Facebook, all that good stuff. We definitely appreciate you guys for all the support. Up next, you got Wyatt Fulton. And I've been saying T-Town Sports Daily. He changed the name of it to Down South? What are the guys?
The Deep South College Football Show.
Okay, so I was about to say Down South Deep South College Football Show coming up next right here, Tide 100.9, 12:30, WTBC.